Netflix is ruining K-dramas and I'm tired of it. Hey everybody, it's me, Minu. Welcome back to Minu's Mortuary, where I talk about all things horror. And I'm excited, but also not so excited, more so disappointed to talk about Squid Game Season 2. I watched all of it last night. You see where the problem is already off the bat? I watched all of it in a night. I don't do that with K-dramas. Usually it takes me days to finish a K-drama season. I finished this in a night. So if you don't want spoilers, I can't help you. I'm going to have to spoil so much about season 2. If you haven't seen season 1, I really can't help you because I'm talking about season 2. I'm assuming because season 1 was so popular that everybody has seen it and everybody knows what it's about before coming to watch this video. So if you haven't, please go watch it. Season 1 is amazing. It's great. A lot of people loved it, including myself. Very heart-wrenching, very emotional, very attached, was very, very excited for season 2, and then was very, very disappointed with season 2. I'm wearing a towel because I just washed my scalp, and I'm going to be doing a little bit of my hair in this video as well. So let me start off with talking about season 1, like a little recap of season 1 is we have our main character, well, his first name is Gi-hun. According to Wikipedia, his first name is pronounced Gi-hun. And he is a gambling addict who is very, very poor. He's going through a lot of stuff, including his divorce, a custody battle with his wife over his 10-year-old daughter. He owes a lot of money to loan sharks, and so he agrees to enter these games. I don't think the games have an official name within the show, but people colloquially call them the Squid Games. And he's going to be doing a bunch of Korean children's games. But the big twist of season 1 is that they turn out to be actual death games. So if you lose at the games, you die. And it's a really, really great season. It talks a lot about, people who live in poverty, people who resort to desperate measures to achieve financial freedom. The award for winning all of the games, which really only one person can win, as set up by season 1, is 45 billion won. But it's a life-changing amount of money for people who are in poverty. So despite the fact that people keep dying, the people are still going to participate to try and win that money. And it says a lot about, just capitalism and how we exploit people who are living in poverty for our own entertainment, like rich, capitalistic, oppressive government systems killing people for sport, for fun. Because when you get to a certain level of richness, you just fucking bored and you ain't got nothing else to do but be a supervillain. So again, this is an oversimplification of season 1, but it was really, really good and I liked it. Coming into season 2. So Gi-hun at the end of season 1, he wins all the money, and instead of going on about his life, he decides that he wants to stop the Squid Games, and he's going to devote however much time needed to actually stopping it. And the show picks up, it really picks up right where we left off, but then it jumps to 3 years later of him still trying to find the game so that he can stop it. So I'm going to stop you right there. I have no problem with doing a time skip. However, I don't like the way they used it. And it feels very much, now I don't know exactly who is responsible, and I'm sure y'all in the comments can tell me who's responsible, but I had the same issue with Sweet Home. Sweet Home is another K-drama, like a dark K-drama, and it had an amazing first season. It felt long as hell, but you enjoyed every bit of it. There was multiple arcs in that season, similar to how Squid Game felt really long, but you enjoyed a lot of it. It didn't feel boring at any points. Sweet Home came out with a season 2. Everybody was excited for the season 2 because it had been so many years since season 1. Sweet Home came out with a season 2. It was short. It was boring. It was pure setup for season 3, which was the finale. And the season 3 was only the next year. It came out the next year. So they were filming all of this pretty much at the same time, knowing that it was going to be split into 2 seasons. And but it made season 2 of Sweet Home pointless because all it did was introduce new characters that would be important in season 3. And that's exactly what I feel like also happened with Squid Game season 2. I did not know that there was going to be a season 3. I was expecting them to give me another banger in terms of, you know, give me a complete story. One thing I love about dark K-dramas is within that first season, they always give you a complete story. They will leave a couple things open for the prospect of, okay, we could make another season if we get greenlit, but they give you a complete story so that if they never get another season, you are satisfied with what you received. But just like Sweet Home and now with Squid Game, we have a situation where they were greenlit for 2 more seasons. So instead of giving us a complete story, they give us half a story thinking that it's just going to excite us for what's going to come in the 3rd season. But in reality, it bored me. And I was very frustrated at how short it was and how I did not get a complete story. So that's my gripe. And I feel like Netflix is doing this. I don't feel like, you know, Korean people are just all of a sudden going the Hollywood route, because it feels very Hollywood, right? It feels very like when we have American TV shows, we love to stretch out every single storyline as much as possible because we want to have 8 seasons, 10 seasons, 13 seasons. Like they want the show to go on forever. So there are a lot of areas where things just drag on and get boring and nothing happens of any consequence because and then at the very last part of that season, they give you something that happens so that you can then tune in for the next season. And I hate that. That's why I don't watch shows in America with a shit ton of seasons, because I already know there's going to be like, people are going to be like, oh, well, it was only good for seasons 1 through 5, or don't even start watching until you just watch season 1 and then jump to season 7 because nothing happens. Like all of that nonsense. I hate it so much. But I never got that with dark K-dramas. I don't watch romance, but I watch dark K-dramas and horror. And so it's just very frustrating here that I sat through 7 hours of this season for not a lot of stuff to happen. There's a lot of setup, but very few things actually pay off. That's my gripe with Netflix and what they are doing to these K-dramas. The other gripe about Squid Game specifically was that the writer, which I think is the same guy from before, but I don't know what got into him. I understood what he was trying to do with the story, but again, it felt like he was rushing everything, because outside of Gi-hun and Junho, hold on, let me look up his name. Yeah, Junho, who is a police officer. Well, I guess he's like a detective who was looking for his missing brother. So he ended up getting involved with all of this just by nature of looking for his missing brother. Like he found his missing brother at the end, and it turned out that his missing brother was the front man for the games. Not the highest level guy, but he is somebody who previously played the games. He won, and he went on to become one of the head people who are organizing the games. So outside of those two who were set up very well and we followed their story throughout season 1, there's not really anybody who you care about that much in season 2. They rush you into caring about people. And it's not that I need like a bunch of exposition or anything, but you know right off the bat, one, who are going to be the important people who are going to last for a long time. But you also have the side part of you don't really connect with them. You don't really get to feel their story because you don't spend that much time with them outside of the games. So they set up, and I'm not going to say everybody's name because I don't remember, but they set up some people that we know are going to be important outside the games, and then they set up some people who are only important inside the games, which is weird. So they have a trans woman character who we don't really see her story outside the games. We see her in the games. They have an old woman and her son who's in a lot of debt. We really only see them inside the games. They have a North Korean woman who was, looking for her child that was back in North Korea. So similarly to like the last season, we had a North Korean character who was trying to reconnect with her mom and brother. This character was trying to find her daughter, but her daughter was like 1 year old at the time of her defecting. So it's really, really hard to find her or what happened to her. and she's put all her money into trying to do that, so she's homeless, and she ends up forming a quick connection with this little girl with cancer, and she kind of meets her dad, but he doesn't really have any character development outside of the fact that he's the dad of a little girl with cancer. Like, I don't even know how many lines he gets now that I think about it. So I don't really know anything outside of like just this quick setup of like his daughter has cancer, so you should immediately care about everything that he does. But also too, he kind of feels like a background character until closer towards the end of the season. I wasn't really feeling much about that. Even with the trans woman character, she was there and she stood out by virtue of, she's a woman, but she has a super deep voice. So people immediately pick up on like, oh, that's not a woman or whatever. And so she has her thing of like, she's trans and she wants to like, finish her transition and go to another country and all of that stuff. We have some other characters who they can only be described as scared character. Their development is just that they are there and they're scared. I don't know nothing else about them. There's several people who are like that. I don't know anything about why they're there. Maybe it's got something to do with a medical thing. Maybe they're just gambling addicts like a lot of other people. Not really that important to me. We have a guy who his only thing is that he's a Marine or ex-Marine. And so he yells a lot and he has a tattoo. But then he's also like, not super brave. A lot of the stuff is like nothing really comes of them until towards the end of the season, where there's like the climax and all the action is happening. But for a good chunk of this season, which is 7 episodes, I don't get anything from them. There's this guy who's a rapper and he's high throughout the thing, so he's cool with it, but he lost a lot of money and a Bitcoin type of thing, and so he needs that money back. But then there's also the guy that tricked people into buying that same coin, who happens to be in this exact same game. Outside of the fact that he was a finance influencer who told people to get into this new coin, and then it was a rug pull, I don't really know anything about his character or his background. Don't know nothing about his parents, his family, his motivations outside of money. There's a guy who's a jerk and he wants money. I'm not surprised. There's always a jerk guy who thinks he's above everybody in these dark K-dramas. So sure, they throw that guy in there. But then there's a pregnant woman who is close to her due date who entered the games. Which I understand why she would do that. But also, there's no reason for her to have made it throughout the whole season because she was pregnant close to her due date. It'd be different because like in Sweet Home, sorry I keep coming back to Sweet Home, they did have a pregnant character, but she was just like a couple weeks pregnant at the beginning, you know what I mean? So she could still do a lot of the athletic things that the show required her to do. But if you are pregnant, like 9 months pregnant, I'm just trying to understand how you doing all of this running and jumping and all that stuff. And like, there is a lot of alluding to the physicality of some of these games, but it doesn't actually pay off in season 2. I'm guessing it's a setup for season 3, because there's just a lot of stuff that you cannot do when you are 9 months pregnant, like running, jumping, being on like, climbing things, being on the monkey bars. Like, you gotta pee a lot. Your feet probably swole. She could barely even get up and get down. Like, she could barely sit on the ground during some of the games without a struggle, really. So her being in these games and surviving just by virtue of people wanting to help her is not realistic at all. Because there was people who wasn't pregnant that was getting knocked over and dying just because they got knocked over while they was running and they didn't make it somewhere in time. So I understand that you want to raise the stakes because you want people to be like, oh, she's pregnant, I want her to survive. But again, I don't know much about her other than the fact that she's pregnant. Like, when you look at Gi-hun, who's the detective guy, he has this whole motivation of his brother went missing randomly and he's been trying to track him down. He finally finds him, but then he gets shot and he doesn't have any evidence of what happened to him. So the police don't believe him, and he ends up transferring to another department because it's just broke him, the fact that he can't figure out why his brother would be involved in something like these games. He has a whole thing with his mom where the mom is like, you know, does he blame me because I didn't treat him as well because he was my stepson? Like, all of these things, like, you spend so much time with him, with Junho, understanding why he feels like he has to get back there. He has to find the island again. So you understand why he spent 3 years doing this, because throughout the whole of season 1, you watched him go through hell and back trying to navigate something he had no idea what the fuck he was stepping into. And then to walk away from that with nothing to show for it, like literally nobody believes him what happened. You care about him getting to what he needs to get to. But then in season 2, why he feel like a background character as well. He also felt like a background character all of a sudden because so much of what was happening was surrounding Gi-hun and what was going on in the games. And they would just every now and then cut back to him being like, oh, we got 6 days. We got 6 days. Oh, we got 5 days. Oh, we got 4 days. We need to find this island, you know? And it's just like, I get that they need to introduce a lot of characters for us to care about, but you don't want to sacrifice the people that we've already shown that we care about. Like Junho, I feel like there was a lot of times when I was following other characters that I was like, is this guy supposed to be surviving? Like, am I supposed to be rooting for him? Because I'm not. I don't know him like that. But Junho's like in the background. There's several other characters who we meet during the games that they kind of want me to care about a little bit because they have their little moments of betrayal and stuff. But outside of them, I don't even know if I get these people's names sometimes. Like, that's literally, it's so quick. It's so quick how certain people are set up and then killed off. Whereas in season 1, I felt that there was several people. 1, not only did we meet them in the games, but 2, we met them outside of the games. So we understood their motivations. We understood the things they were struggling with. We understood that they all had extremely high stakes. Like, you know, people who were going to lose their families, people who were going to go to jail, people who were going to lose organs to loan sharks if they didn't pay off their debt, people whose parents were dying. And we spent enough time with them throughout the season for when they did actually die, we really felt heartbroken about it. Like, but it felt like here, people were just having way too much fun with some of these games. Like, there was a lot of cheering. It was so much cheering in some of these montages because, again, another part of it is Gi-hun getting involved and helping people survive means that there's just more people in each game. So it's more people who have to die off in order for the show to progress. But there's so many situations where people are just having the time of their lives. They're cheering, and then people are getting shot, and it's like, oh, well, they're dead. On to the next guy, though. Come on, guy, you can do it. Like you're watching sports. And I understand probably what they're trying to do there when it talks about like the spectator and being a spectator and stuff. But given that these are the people in the game, in the arena, I don't see why they're having such a great time. You know what I mean? I understand why you would have like the rich people who are watching these games be betting and cheering and all of that stuff. But the people who are actually like, I might die if I don't get this game. Why are you cheering? Why are you going, woohoo, yeah, we can do it. We did it. Like all of that stuff. Like, you about to get shot. And there was in the montage, it happened so quickly and that was annoying for me. There was a montage where the people were like at the finish line. They had gotten through all the games of that game, the mini games, and they were at the finish line, but the timer ran out. And so they were shot right in front of the finish line. And that should have been a more serious moment that should have held weight, that we should have been like actually sitting with that moment. And we weren't. And again, talking about the stakes of the game, they changed the rules slightly. I tried to look it up and I couldn't see whether or not this was a change to the rules. And I'm not going to rewatch season 1 to talk about season 2. So somebody somewhere is going to explain this. But I don't remember from season one that the characters had the opportunity to quit at any point and then the money would be divided against them, amongst them, because there was so much. First of all, it is new in season two that they are voting after every game. Whereas in season one, they did not vote after every game. They would have to demand the right to do a vote. So it wasn't like a mandatory vote. Like they would have to demand the right to vote after every single game. But what I remember from everybody's motivation and the way that the season went was that people felt like it was all or nothing, because after the first, because in season one, after the first game, people voted and they ended up going home. Like they ended up voting to end the games and then everybody went home to their regular lives. I don't remember anybody getting money after that. Because remember, like half the people died in the first game in season one. So I don't remember them being like, all right, half the people died in the first game, so everybody gets so many thousands of won, and then they go home with the thousands of won. It seemed like everybody went back to just being broke again and not having money to do anything. And then that's why they ended up going back in, because literally you would leave and then them loan sharks would find you and then they would be like, hey, so about our money, you know what I mean? And you wouldn't have enough money to pay the loan sharks. So I don't remember them giving people the opportunity to end the game at any time and then take money. It felt like an all or nothing thing in season one. Like you needed that life-changing amount of money. And when you rejoined the games, you did so with the understanding that you could die and you would have to kill people in order to get more money so that your life could be like resolved, you know, like your issues could be fixed with that money. But it was always chasing after that end goal. It was, we have to make it at least to the end of the game. I don't think everybody knew that only one person could make it, but I think that that was kind of a understanding closer towards the end. But it was literally just like all or nothing. Whereas here, the stakes are lowered a little bit, because after every game, you can vote and go home with a shit ton of money. Which means that it should be a no-brainer if you want to quit early and just take the money and run with your life. So the stakes are not as high, or at least they don't feel as high in season two as they did in season one. Another big change with regards to characters, we get to follow a character. Well, it's not a change, because Junho in season one did end up successfully infiltrating the games as one of the people working there, as one of the masked men. But the thing was, he didn't know what the fuck he was doing, so he kind of got found out fast. But we actually get introduced to a character who does end up joining the games, but as one of the masked people, and like what they're going through. And understanding the rules and all of those things. And I didn't like how they did her character either, because her whole thing was that she got a special invitation to join, because I'm assuming she's gonna get a lot of money or something that's gonna help her, or she had the idea that she'd be helping people or whatever it is that they tell people who join the things. Because the masked men, they're not as important as the rich people. They're kind of like, they serve as like the police. You know what I mean? They protect the capitalistic oppressors in the system. They help keep order for the people at the top who never get their hands dirty. She has this whole thing where it's established in the first season that when people, they will purposefully not kill people all the way because they want to use their organs. They want to sell their organs on the black market. She doesn't want to be involved in this, so she actually just takes over and she kills people. She gets assaulted basically by a couple of the other guards, and they literally, like, the people who are watching the cameras, just they change the camera so that they don't see what's being done to her. But she gets assaulted by them, and they're like, if you kill people again or you interfere with our thing again, we're gonna cut off your fingers, we're gonna assault you, blah 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 blah. And that's kind of the end of her presence for the season. Like, it's like really weird, because she is kind of set up as somebody who would like go against the system or try to fight the system from within, She's set up as this badass woman from North Korea who killed her superior and escaped by herself to South Korea and all of these things. But two dudes burst into her room, and it's like all of a sudden it's like she gives up then, which I mean, I guess if that's how they want to play it, people do give up. They do give up and let the system just do whatever. It can be really hard to fight against it, but it just felt like she was set up for no reason, because after that we stopped really seeing her or anything about her story. We don't get to hear how she's feeling. We don't get to see her reaction to stuff because she's just one of the masks. We don't know which person is her behind these masks, or what she's going through, what she's struggling with, if she has any plans to, like, take back things or alert the higher ups of what's going on if they don't already know what's going on. Her whole thing just stops because some guys threaten her, and that just doesn't sit right with me, given the fact that she was set up as somebody who literally escaped North Korea. Like, oh, she's a badass woman who escaped North Korea, and now she's like just going along with everything because some guys threatened her. Like, I also thought she would be a better fighter. Like, I thought that she would be able to, like, stand her ground or something, like give me something to root for. But after that whole situation, she just kind of drops off, and I don't know, maybe they'll try to pick her up in season 3. But again, season 2 didn't give us a complete story. So maybe they'll try to do something with her in season 3. It's coming out in 2025. I don't know. That was very frustrating. Felt like that storyline went nowhere. The other storyline that went nowhere was the dad of the daughter with cancer. He was very much a background character until the very end of season 2 when he was shot, and then he was just done. I don't know how much I even got to know about him. Like, where's the girl's mom? Like, I don't know. He's just there. Who else is in here that's supposed to be important? Yeah, most of the people within the games are supposed to be important. I mean, the rapper guy's annoying, and he's high, and eventually he dies. And then there's some guys who are more like lackeys. Like, I don't really know who was supposed to be the big bad of this season. Not big bad, because obviously the big bad is like the capitalist oppressors. But within the games, right? Like, who is supposed to be the person that you watch out for? Because in season 1, they did a lot of things where they would set someone up as, oh, this is the guy you need to watch out for. He is going to kill people. He's going to come after people. And he seemed like a real threat up until the end, and then we shifted focus to another threat. Or we had people who didn't seem like they would be a threat the whole time, and then suddenly they were a huge threat. A lot of twists and turns there, but I didn't really get that from season 2. I feel like we already know who the big threats are, and so I think it made the games feel not as impactful until the ending when Gi-hun tried to get them all to like revolt and stuff. I guess now I gotta talk about Gi-hun. It's almost 30 minutes of recording, and I gotta talk about this man. Yes, Gi-hun is an idiot. And the thing is, it was okay that he was an idiot in season 1 because of the fact that nobody knew what the big twist of this show was going to be until it happened. So introducing us to an idiot gambling addict who's just like flopping his way through life, and he doesn't really know what he's doing, but he just keeps trying to get that money, and then thrusting him in a situation where it's like life or death. And he's literally surviving on luck the majority of the time, like dumb luck, which is fine for a character like him, right? Because he doesn't know what he's doing. So for him to just happen to survive and then later have guilt about being the one to survive, that's a huge thing, because there was nothing about him that made him better than anybody else. He just happened to win. And then towards the end, when he had to have that whole character arc where he had to realize what he had to do, what he'd become, what the people around him had become, that was very impactful. And I liked seeing that story arc for him. What is his story arc in season 2? Is this supposed to be that he starts out like with hope to save people and then he gives up on the hope? Because that's the first 2 episodes do not set that up for him at all. The first 2 episodes sets Gi-hun up as somebody who has spent the last 3 years of his life preparing to take down this organization. He's got a shit ton of guns. He's living off the grid. He's got burner phones. He's working with loan sharks under the table, using his money to track down these people in the games so that he can stop them. Now, his little 45 billion won ain't nothing compared to the billionaire USD people who are actually funding these games and being entertained by these games. So that's one, you want to talk about money. But two, everything that he is doing in the first two episodes, the fact that he is incredibly weary, he's jaded, he don't give a fuck about nothing in life other than accomplishing his goal. He does not trust people easily in terms of getting them involved in the things that he's doing. He doesn't tell people exactly what's going on with him. He doesn't even talk to his daughter, which again, he's a terrible father, but he can't even talk to his daughter because he feels like he's just so traumatized by what happens. He needs to stop it, right? Even has a cool moment where he goes up against the man in the suit that everybody loves. And I love what they did with that guy's character, because he had some great moments that I was like, oh, this is an actual like bad guy. He's really crazy. But even when Gi-hun goes up against him, you get the sense that Gi-hun is like, he's a tougher person. Like, he's been training for this. He's been ready for this. He has stilled his mind mentally. He is ready to do what he needs to do and be as brutal as he needs to be to stop them. Like, he has to become like more or less human in order to stop these people. So you're like, okay, this is going to be an interesting season because he is a completely different person than who he was in season 1. Why wouldn't that man get in the games that he's stupid again? Like, he's not like smiling and happy. He's still kind of like, he's very sullen and grumpy. But he gets stupid again because his plan A, which already is dumb, his plan A was that he was gonna show up to the place where he thinks that he cut the tracking chip out of his body and now nobody can track him, even though we're in the digital age. Everybody got cameras. He allows one of the guys from the loan shark company, not the one that he knew, not the one that he was close with and working with, because he let that guy employ a whole bunch of other guys that he did not know at all to get involved in this search. Which is another dumb move, because if these people are rich and they know everything and they are literally everywhere and they can track you, why would you let somebody else get a bunch of people involved? But even that part aside, once that guy is gone, he is now randomly trusting a man that he never met before. But two men he never met before. One was the loan shark guy's lackey, and then the other was Junho, which he didn't know Junho like that. And so all of a sudden it's, oh, you're going to help me? Here's the keys to all my stuff. Here's where my guns are. Here's where I keep my stack of money. Like, bring as many random guys as you want into this operation. I'm cool with that. And just trusting these guys you don't know to suddenly access all your stuff. You don't know the names of these people. You have not vetted any of them. You're just trusting random strangers to help you with this, not even knowing if one of these random strangers works for the organization and could be snitching on you the whole time, which it likely is. You know what I mean? But he just immediately trusts these people to help him without any type of weariness whatsoever. And then so his plan A was to go to the place where I guess he thought that the front man would show up to meet people who have been invited to play in the games. Like, why would the front man be there? That makes no sense. And so he willingly gets into a limo where, of course, there's no person inside the limo with him. So he talks to a pig head. And the way that he talks and the way he behaves shows that he has no idea what he's doing. He doesn't know what to say because the guy isn't actually there. And instead of trying to play it cool or have any sort of plan, he just decides to just be rude and talk shit and be like, yeah, I'm going to take you down. How, nigga? How you going to take him down? Like, what is your plan here? And so when plan A fails, as it was going to, I'm surprised Junho didn't tell him that shit was not going to work. When plan A fails, they go into plan B where he says, take me back into the games. He gets a tracking thingy in his tooth so that it can track, so that Junho and them can track him to the island and rescue him and all that stuff. Here's where plan B makes no fucking sense. One, I get the whole tracking thing in your tooth. You think that they may not find you. I get that part. But knowing that you have been on that island and you have seen the sheer number of guards, just the ones that walk around the players, not counting how many guards are in other areas of that building just hanging out. You know, there's got to be a large number of guards if you have 465 people and you have to keep track of who to kill at any given moment. You know what I mean? Just red light, green light alone, you have to have multiple guards and stationed in different areas so they can pick people off one by one. So the little ex-mercenary Marine Army group of guys that he got is not enough guys, for one. For two. And then for three, he has no idea how he even gets into the buildings in the island. All he knows is that the sky opens at one point and then it closes. Like, that's all he knows is they're basically underground. This whole thing is underground. So even if they were able to track him all the way to the island, how would they get underground? They would enter and they would be shot down by the dozens, if not hundreds of guards that are all over the place. So it's like none of that plan makes any possible sense. Like, if he really thinks that stopping the game means that Junho and like a dozen or so mercenary guys are gonna show up, shoot the guards, and then rescue 465. They don't even have the right boats to transport 465 people. They don't have the right boats to transfer 300 people. How was they gonna stop the game? You see that there are doors that open and close on their own. How are they gonna break through those doors? Do they have bombs? Were they gonna blow up the place? Like, I just don't understand how this was supposed to play out in his mind. It makes no sense. And obviously, it is super suspicious for him to go from I'm gonna stop the games to put me in the game, bro. Put me in. That is obviously extremely suspicious. And they would obviously suspect that he has some kind of tracker on him that would allow someone to find him in the game. It makes no sense. You know, he's already told you his intentions are not to win the game again. His intentions are to destroy it from the inside out. So why do you think they would not examine every orifice of your body looking for some type of tracker that could tell somebody where your location is? Like, the only reason that Junho was able to infiltrate the games the way he did before was because nobody knew who he was or what he was trying to do. Everybody knows who the fuck Gi-hun is. Everyone knows who he is and what he's trying to do. He broadcast it. He says it out loud. Of course, they would be looking to see if he has a tracker on him so that they can mislead the people who are coming to rescue him. So that whole plan is out the window. Now, when he's actually in the games, I understand him wanting to say, okay, red light, green light, people don't know they're going to die. If I tell them they're going to die and I help them win, then, you know, they're going to believe me and stuff like that. That was cool. That makes perfect sense. I know several people who are like, if I was in there, I would have done something like that. However, he had no point planned for the fact that people would be like, how do you know what's going on? He hasn't planned for that question. He hasn't thought any of this through. He hasn't written down, people are going to ask me how I know that we're going to die. People are going to ask me how I know how to beat the games that are killing them. He has no plan for that. He gets immediately overwhelmed with everybody yelling at him. And he doesn't know how to do crowd control, even though he witnessed when he played the game how easily a crowd can be swayed from one side to the other by some loud idiot. He has no plan of how to convince people or sway people to be on his side. On top of that, he knows that he has told the people who run the games that he is going to try to destroy the games from the inside out, and he didn't think that they would change the games. Like, he really thought that they was going to play all the exact same games that they played before. knowing that he knows how to beat all of those games. He didn't think they would anticipate that. Like, this is crazy that this man did not plan for what the fuck he was doing. And it is so frustrating watching him do that. And then bring in, I think it's Inho, who is Junho's brother, who's the front man. He comes in, he shows up after the first game, mind you. He shows up as 001, which was OL Nam's thing. This man did not prepare for this. He seems not weary at all. He immediately trusts this man. Last time 001 showed up and bonded with you, he was one of the niggas that started the games. Why would you see another 001 that you did not see or meet prior to playing the last game, which is the most deadly of the games, because people literally could just get knocked over and then you die. He was not suspicious of him at all. There was even a moment where this dude knew his name and he was like, how do you know my name? And he was like, oh, I heard somebody else say it. He's like, oh, okay. Like, why does Gi-hun feel like he's not the main character? I know that main characters usually have plot armor and people hate that and they think but he already had plot armor by fumbling his way through the first season and surviving everything. He is so easily convinced of other people's innocence. He is so quick to be overly honest about things. And he does not know what he is doing. So he keeps losing the crowd and he keeps losing people when it comes to convincing them that they need to just give up and walk away. Especially, why would your dumbass think that telling people that you won the game and made all the money is going to convince them to not play the game? You are a former gambling addict yourself. Telling people I did this and I won and now I'm a rich asshole and this is how I know that the money ain't worth it and you should not do what I did where you could make a lot of money. No one will believe that. Any idiot, if he told them about his plan, could have told him that nobody would believe that. They'd be like, you won, so I can win. It is just so frustrating and annoying to watch this man fumble the bag over and over and over and over again because he's just a fucking idiot. He's an idiot the whole time. And maybe that's what the writer wants me to feel. Maybe the writer wants me to feel like this guy's an idiot and has no business doing what he's doing. But you can't let him be an idiot who doesn't know what he's doing all the time and still survive everything. He's still dodging bullets. He's still making it through all the games. This man has he even trained on how to complete the games that he survived? Because God knows he didn't know what he was doing last time. It makes, and some of the games that if he thought that he was going to go through those same games again, some of those games is pure luck. And he could have told people that. He could have told people the only reason that I survived some of these games was luck. It was not skill. There was no strategy that I could do to beat it. It was pure luck that I didn't die because somebody in front of me got scared and didn't do what they were supposed to be doing. Pure luck. He could have did that, or he could have went the route of a lot of these film theory channels where they were like, this is how you beat every single Squid Game. He could have went that route too, but he didn't go either. He just kind of was like, I don't know. And he's just sitting there mad because he can't convince people to quit the game. That was his only plan. And without that plan, he just gives up. And then towards the end, he's like, no. What we're going to do, we're going to take the guns and then we're going to shoot our way up to there's not enough of you. Said it. There is not enough of you. And what would make you think that you can convince everybody to do something like that? But then for him to hit us with we can let some of our people die and get murdered so that we can do our hero shit and attack the guards and all of that stuff was also wild. But I do appreciate that they did do that because the whole point of Inho being involved in these games was to try to break Gi-hun. And so for Gi-hun to go from try to save as many people as possible to we gonna let some of these people die so that we can do what I'm trying to get us to do, I thought that that was a good thing. And I thought that seeing him do something so stupid and then seeing the consequences of it, of more people dying, was a huge thing. I was down with it. But I needed more of that, because at some point, maybe they're going to do it in season 3, because again, it seems like they shot all of that at once and then they just cut it in half so that they can fulfill their requirements of a 2 and a 3. Maybe he will become the bad guy. If he turns out to be the villain and says like, I'm going to become the front man now and I'm going to expose what Junho's trying to do and like turn this all around and I'm going to become evil, I will give them a few points back for this. I'll give them a few points back, because that at least makes sense. That at least would be like, okay, that's what Inho went through. You know, maybe that's what Inho went through, where he realized that this is the way the world is and he gave up and all of that stuff, and he ended up getting back involved in the games as the front man. Maybe. I will accept that being the ending of this show. But what I won't accept is them trying to do it any other way, where they try to make it seem like, oh, he had a plan all along, or he was actually playing 4D chess and he's really smart. And, you know, no, because he's a fucking idiot and he doesn't know what he's doing. And tons of people died because he don't know how to do crowd control. He didn't have no type of strategy or plan. He was just chasing the same thing over and over and over again of, I'm going to stop the games. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it. 3 years. If this was the very next year, everything that he did would have made sense to me. If it was the very next year, he didn't really have any time to prepare. He had what guns he could scrape together. He had the money of what he could scrape together, and he found out what was going on. A lot more of this would make sense. But him having spent 3 years in hiding, searching for these people, getting all of these guns, like doing all of this research and trying to stay under the radar, and to not be prepared at all to launch this plan. Being like, if I don't do it now, I'm gonna have to wait another year. Nigga, wait another year. Wait another year. You ain't ready. Gi-hun was not ready to do this. Like, he should have spent time with Junho learning how to do a mission, or somebody. He should have sat with somebody, because this makes no sense, everything that he's doing. And I don't believe that he's playing 4D chess. I don't believe that he's outsmarting anybody by pretending to be stupid, because he just genuinely is stupid. And we saw that from season 1. He is stupid. And also all that bullshit that he was doing, he still could have called his fucking daughter. Like, why he act like he can't call her and talk to her on the phone? Like, yes, he didn't get on a plane to America, which at any point he could have, right? Like, he still could have went and visited her, but he didn't get on a plane to America. Okay, but he could have been calling her on the phone, sending her text messages, talking to her, talking about, or trying to be like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, or I'm see you soon, or I'm like send you a gift, or like, he still could have been building a relationship with her. I understand that they trying to do the whole like he's super serious now and he has no connections because he's so dedicated to his revenge and all that stuff, but he still could have talked to her. It just feels like he did not grow as a person. And he was already broken in season 1. So I don't understand why we would need to try to break him again in season 2. And literally the only reason this man is alive throughout all the nonsense he pulled in season 2 is because Inho, who is the front man, likes him. That is the only reason that he is alive. Everybody else, there was no like, oh, you're important to the story. Oh, you have an important situation. No, they shot you. You died. It was over. Everybody else gets shot and he gets arrested at the end of season 2 to, I don't know, be forced to participate in the remainder of the games in season 3, I guess. Like, it's just, I can't stand this man as a character. I feel like I'm hate watching at this point because anybody else, like let Junho win. let him get a win. Let him meet his brother and figure out what the fuck is going on. Because at this point, Gi-hun ain't got shit going on. His wife and his daughter's over in America living their life. I mean, ex-wife. His mom's dead. Like, it's... Sadie, not now. But yeah, I'm so tired of him, and I don't understand what they're trying to do with the story. I just really feel like it's very disappointing that it feels like, similar to Sweet Home, they got greenlit for 2 seasons and they didn't have enough to give you like a full story in season 2, so they broke it out into 2 seasons, and that just frustrates me. I don't really want more. I'm just kind of tired because I feel like I wasted, I wouldn't say the whole 7 hours was a waste, but I would say at least 3 of those hours was a waste, because you did not give me enough time with the new characters to become attached to them, to care about them. The games felt less like they were being interesting. Well, there was one I thought was kind of interesting. It felt more like they were like, how do we kill off more people? Like, we have too many people. You know what I mean? It felt like, I felt like I was maybe one of the rich assholes who was watching this, and they were like, too many people survived that first round. Like, you supposed to be like cut in half at least. Now we got to do other stuff to kind of cut down on people. Because the last one they did where they're like spinning and having to break off into groups really felt like how do we kill off more people? Because too many people are surviving these games. And because there's so many people involved, it's hard to feel the pressure and the stakes that you felt in season 1, because from after the first game, like half the people were gone immediately, just like that. So it just felt like it felt like culling. It was a lot of culling to try to get rid of the extra fat that we didn't need, so that we could actually focus on the characters that we cared about, who are important to the story. But there were some characters where I felt like we should have been caring about them for when they died, but we didn't care about them that much because they were background characters until they died, and they didn't feel like they should have been background characters. So it was just really, really weird. I think that also too, like towards the end when they did do like, the stuff with the forks and they decided to start killing people, it did get a little bit more gory, but I feel like season 1 was way more gory. And not in the sense that I just wanted to be a splatter fest, right? Because they shot plenty of people, but the people were getting shot in ways that made it feel like it wasn't that important. I feel like the deaths that happened in season 1 were very, very impactful. There was people who died off camera who it was very, very impactful, their deaths. And this one, it didn't feel like it impacted much. Like the guy whose daughter has cancer, like, I mean, that's his only thing. And so he dies, and I guess his daughter dies. I don't know what that means really. I feel like somebody's probably gonna like help him out with her just because she's so young. But say that. You know what I mean? Like at some point I really expected like the old lady to die. They kind of faked me out on that one. Because in season 1, we had a guy whose mother died. Was it mother? No. His wife died. And that one felt really impactful. Like we sat with that for a second. And I don't even know if I saw the wife die, but I saw the aftermath of it. And we sat with that man for a minute and the consequences of him having joined the games with his wife. So people who are in the games with people they know, like, and that's another thing. Gi-hun didn't warn nobody. He was like, here's the rundown of the games I played. One of the games, you killed the other person. You actively kill somebody. And I don't know which game it will be, but they will make you kill somebody that you are close to. He didn't say that. Nor did he, and then I guess, and them changing the rules too about the whole like, if you leave, you can divide up the money and stuff is very different from in season 1. It was like only one of y'all is going to get this money. So everybody was kind of out for number 1. Or trying to like form those bonds with people to get them through the games until they got to the end and then they would betray them. But yeah, it was just like it was trying to do so much at once, but it all just felt more like a setup to finish the story in season 3. And I hate when a season is nothing but setup. I hate that. I want there to be follow through on at least some of the storylines, because Junho and them have not found the island as of the end of season 2. The Korean girl who's actually the North Korean girl who's working as one of the masked people hasn't done anything after she got, threatened by those other masked guys. I don't see what's going on with Inho as the front man. Well, I guess he does this whole thing of like he plays it he is actually very intelligent, because he knows how to do crowd control, and he's able to manipulate people, and he's able to behave as if he is, genuine, and then betray people at the end. So I actually like him more, and that's not good, because he's a bad guy, and I like the bad guy more than the main character. That's a problem. But yeah, he seems very intelligent, and he knows what he's doing, which is great. So he has follow through. Guy whose daughter has cancer, no follow through. Pregnant girl, no follow through. Trans woman, no follow through. The old lady and her son, no follow through. The rich idiot who's in billions of dollars, billions of won of debt, no real follow through. The rapper guy dies, but I mean, he was high the whole time, so he was really just bouncing around, acting crazy, and saying random shit in English. As if he just wanted to show off the fact that he knew some English. And I didn't really mean nothing that he died. He didn't ever feel like a real threat, because he was high and he was prancing around throughout the games. So he didn't feel like a scary, like, oh my God, what is he going to do threat. He felt more like a schoolyard bully. And then the people who rallied around him were also felt like schoolyard bullies, as opposed to like a real adult threat. I don't know why. It feels like there was just way more young people in season 2 as well in these games. And I mean, I don't know the actual ages of people, because it can be hard with Korean people and skincare, but it felt like there was more young people in these games, and that's part of the reason why things were not being taken as seriously. In season 1, there was a lot more women, there was a lot more elderly people, and you got to see through like the selection process of things, like how different groups of people were treated. So, I mean, and again, I do appreciate having the trans woman involved. I think they could have done more with the pregnant woman, because I feel like people could have been like, she's pregnant, we should kill her, or, in the next game, or she's pregnant, we don't want her on our team, and like stuff like that. But she immediately found our main character group and was like, I'm pregnant. And they were like, we'll help you. So it just, I don't know, it didn't make sense. We had the other girl who I did kind of feel bad for her. She did have a nice moment with the trans woman before she, died in the next game. So I did actually feel something with that. But then after that, I didn't really get much and I didn't know nothing about that girl's backstory either. But I just feel like there was just not a lot of follow through, because of the fact that they knew they had a season 3 to prepare for, and they should have at least given us another 9 episodes. When I saw that little thing on Netflix where it's like 2 episodes to go, I was like, 2 episodes? What do you mean 2 episodes? Like this, we ain't did nothing. I ain't even sucked my teeth in it yet. What do you mean 2 episodes left? Like, they should have at least given us another 9 episodes and stretched out some of that, what people's lives were like before they got into the games. Gi-hun should have gotten like a training montage or something. He knows what these games are, and he didn't prepare for it at all, outside of getting guns that he could not bring with him to the games. So that makes no sense. But yeah, so I'm just really frustrated. I've been recording for an hour now. Because I feel like I'm going to blame Netflix. Now, you tell me in the comments if it wasn't Netflix and it was the creator of the show himself who decided to do all of this. But given that this also just happened with Sweet Home, and I'm starting to see it with other K-dramas, I really feel like Netflix's whole thing of you got to have so many seasons, or you have a good 1 season, so they give you 2 seasons, they give you 4 seasons. I feel like that is really what causes shows to not be good anymore. Because you take the focus away from trying to give someone a complete story, and you start trying to give them pieces of a story so that it could keep going on and on and on and on and on. And that's why we have so many shows in America where they set up a bunch of stuff in season 1, but they don't get greenlit for season 2. So we never get the complete story. I hate that. And what I love about, I know they do it in Japan and Korea. They probably do it in other Asian countries as well. but their dramas tend to be like season 1, you're getting a whole story. And if we get a season 2, we'll give you another whole story. That's the whole beauty of them being hour-long episodes too. Like they give you so much story. And I just feel like Netflix is screwing that up because they want to keep people coming back to the platform. And so they want these shows to just go on and on and on, or at least go on for multiple seasons. And the creators are forced to give you half a story so that they can complete their 3-season requirement with Netflix. And I just think that's bullshit. But anyway, what did you guys think about Squid Game Season 2? Tell me what you think about it in the comments. I love to hear all of your theories and your feelings about individual characters. Is there something that you felt like I forgot to mention or that I got wrong? Do you like Gi-hun? I don't think I've met anybody who does. But if you do, tell me why you think that he's actually a good character in the comments. But yeah, that's all for today. I hope you guys have a great Sunday, and I will see you all in the new year. Bye.